every government in Canada, at all levels, is saying, we need more money. Do we? Well, let's find the answer to that. But before then, you know the drill. Subscribe, please, and PayPal so he can get paid. Stephen Lecce is the Minister of Education in Ontario. So he's a cabinet minister. And we aren't just going to talk about education. We've done that. But every government says we need more money, so therefore we have to raise taxes or go into debt. But it's because I think they're saying we can do more for you. We want to do more for you. Should we be entering an era when, you know what, government can't do everything for you? Provide health, education, roads, the basics, but not go all these other esoteric things.
I think government needs to stay focused on their core competence and not be all things to all people, because as we've seen in the federal government, if we can't deliver a passport before we're going to change the world, let's get back to the foundations or the basics of what government is supposed to be. I actually am a big believer in smaller government. And remember, the first bill our government introduced in 2018, and I was the parliamentary assistant to the Premier, was to champion the reduction of Toronto City Council by half. And all the elites suggested it was a grand conspiracy and a horrible intervention. How can a government reduce the amount of politicians? It was a progressive conservative Premier in the 90s, Mike Harris, that did the same when it came to provincial legislature. We do need less government and fewer politicians in the room if we want to make sound public policy decisions.
And fewer bureaucrats, because in the last few years in Ontario, in the federal government, we've had hundreds of thousands more bureaucrats. To my mind, you have more bureaucrats, they're going to say, what can we do? And what we can do is either, one, cost you more money as a taxpayer, or limit freedoms. Yep.
I think what we ultimately need to do is reduce the size of the government and public service and empower civil society to do what they do best. And that's why we are, as conservatives, believers in the concept. And I'll tell you, in our own ministry, I'm very proud as a minister, we've not increased FTs at all. In fact, we've seen a net reduction under my tenure because I believe we've got some good talent in our ministry. Let's harness the potential of them, remove the fat, and really focus on the core competence of public education and improving lives.
So, Minister, when you have the opposition saying in the next election, vote for us because we're going to deliver more things for you. We're going to have more turkeys and more cars in your garage. And a number of people are going to say, oh yeah, that's a great idea.
Well, of course. And look, we already know the track record of Bonnie Crombie. She's been the mayor where she's successfully implemented tax hikes every single year without exception, grown the size of government, but not increased the amount of homes being built in her municipality. So with respect, increasing spending is another way of saying we're going to increase your taxes at a time of an affordability crisis. And I don't accept it. I don't believe politicians who promise the world. I want a leader who's going to be incremental, honest, and focused on the priorities of Canadians.
How about the voters when they say, many voters say, oh yeah, that's great, or we need more funding for our special project?
I think most Canadians, after a decade of mass spending, doubled debt, etc., should not be, their intelligence should not be offended by pretending like they're going to follow blindly and lead opinion. I think most Canadians know intuitively that they should not trust politicians when they promise the world, because frankly, nothing has come from most of them. And I'm part of a government that is in the business of promises made, promises kept, but I have the same anxiety as you about our feds.
You heard it here. Don't trust politicians from a politician. Successfully elected one. 3 minutes. This show provides independent analysis of the issues. We are not paid by the government. And as I am finding, so much business in Canada relies upon various governments that they don't want to sponsor or advertise on a show which may become controversial, which talks about liberty, freedoms, sometimes criticizes government. I've had guests on that support the government. But people are saying, you know what? We don't want to bite the hand that feeds us, i.e. government, which is why I hope you'll subscribe and contribute to keep this show on the air.